to order. If we stand up for our ROTC to come back.
Host. Reset. Arms.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Host. Right. Face. Forward. March.
You may be seated, those that have a seat. Roll call, Louisa.
Al.
Present.
Teresa. Present. Michelle. Kate.
Here.
Gladys.
Here.
Mary. Lauren.
Here.
Juanita.
Here.
Rich. Julie. I'm here.
Okay, we have a quorum to take care of things. Okay. We don't have any recognition like this. Okay. We'll move on down to public participation. And if you want to speak or address the board tonight, there's a slip in the back. You sign the name so we can know who's going to speak. Lauren?
The board welcomes public participation and asks that speakers please limit their comments to 3 minutes. Speakers may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person directly connected with the Danbury Public School System.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Melinda Scott.
First.
Happy New Year, everybody! I figured if I was going to be here and sit in the front row, I might as well talk to y'all. So I'm Melinda Scott, 4th grade teacher at Stockley Rough. I wrote nothing down today, which is very unusual for me, so you know it's going to be positive. So I just wanted to say a couple words from a teacher perspective who is on lunch duty 4 days a week in the cafeteria with 2 classes of kindergartners and 4 classes of 4th graders. There is some really positive changes in this new lunch program. Really positive. There are a lot of bumps in the road, I'm not gonna lie. There's major supply issues, there's major transportation issues getting food to the building, but the quality of food and the presentation of the food is so much better. We had roasted broccoli yesterday. I know, but it was roasted broccoli that was still green. It was still green, and you actually had to chew it when you ate it. And it had seasoning on it. This is major, major improvements. So again, if I'm in there with 5-year-olds who are eating school lunch for the first time and they're saying things, this is a good thing. So I'm hoping very much that they're going to be able to work out some of those bumps. I did meet Carrie at our building the other day. She said they're working on it, so really positive, and I just wanted to say that. Really, really nice change.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else want to address the board tonight? Melinda, thank you for those positive words. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the consent calendar. Juanita, would you do the motion for the consent calendar?
Motion that the Board of Education approve consent calendar exhibits 25-116 and 25-117 in accordance with the 6:25 minutes, the Finance Committee, and the 6:25 regular board meeting.
Motion made by Juanita. I need a second for that motion. Seconded by Teresa. Any question concerning the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. Anyone from our educational staff who want to come before the board? Thank you. Aaron?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chairwoman Cooper, members of the board, Dr. Casimiro, and all of our GPS community. On behalf of the dedicated educators of Danbury Public Schools, we want to thank you for your attention tonight. As we head toward our last session of negotiations tomorrow night, we come to you with a spirit of collaboration and partnership. We believe that together, we can build a contract that not only reflects the values of this community, but also strengthens the foundations of our school. But before we jump into the reason why we're here, I want you to look around. It's hard not to look around. Look around this room. Behind us tonight are the masses of Danbury educators, teachers, social workers, counselors, specialists, coaches, and support staff who are the boots on the ground for this district. They are the reason that our students are welcomed at the door each morning. The reason that learning continues even in our crowded classrooms, and the reasons families know that their children are cared for. And these amazing educators behind me, they're here tonight because they love their students, and they love their community, and they believe in Danbury Public Schools. But they're also here tonight with one clear message. Danbury educators deserve a fair contract.
So, why do we deserve it? Because every day, these educators do extraordinary work in extraordinary circumstances. Danbury is one of the fastest growing districts in the state. Classrooms here can be crowded, 28, 29, sometimes 30 students, sometimes more. Far more than most of our neighbors. And yet, our teachers find a way to reach every child. That takes skill, it takes patience, and it takes incredible dedication. This is a community that's beautifully diverse, with families speaking dozens of languages and bringing so many different experiences into our classrooms. Our teachers step into that challenge with open hearts, connecting with families across cultures, making sure every student knows that they belong here. I know teachers who've built entire lesson plans around a student's background just to show them that their story matters. That doesn't happen everywhere, but it happens here in Danbury. And serving one of the most diverse communities in Connecticut is something we're deeply proud of.
And let me tell you, our teachers do it while stretching resources that don't always keep up. Too often, they reach into their own pockets for books, snacks, winter coats, or supplies, because they will not let a child go without. They spend their evenings calling parents, weekends grading papers, and countless hours writing recommendation letters or helping students fill out financial aid forms, opening doors to opportunities that can change a child's future.
And still, our teachers don't stop there. They're coaches, club advisors, and mentors. They're at concerts, games, and plays. They're calling parents in the evening, writing recommendation letters late at night, and sitting down with first-generation students to fill out their college applications, right? And that's not extra, that's what we do here at Danbury.
But here's the truth. Our teachers do this all the while watching colleagues leave for other districts. Districts with smaller classes, fewer challenges, and better working conditions. Districts that are actively recruiting, even poaching, the very people that stand with us tonight. But still, they all stay. They stay when districts pay more. They stay when the challenges continue to grow. They stay because they believe in Danbury's children and in this community. That loyalty, that level of commitment deserves to be respected, not with words, but with action. And action means a fair contract. We deserve a fair contract because we've chosen to stay in Danbury. Our loyalty shouldn't be taken for granted. It should be respected and rewarded.
And that's why we're here tonight. We're asking for a contract that does three things. We want it to respect the educators who are the backbone of this district. It must ensure safe working conditions so teaching and learning aren't disrupted by unsafe behavior. And it has to provide wages and benefits that keep pace with inflation and with our neighboring districts so that Danbury can stay competitive and keep its best educators.
You know, we're not asking for more than what's fair. We're demanding what's right. And after years of proving our commitment through larger classes, through growing needs, through challenges no other district faces, Danbury educators have earned this.
And let's be honest, our teachers have shown extraordinary loyalty. They've chosen to stay despite having every reason to go. And that loyalty deserves recognition, it deserves respect, and it deserves to be rewarded with a fair contract. And that means a contract that retains the dedicated professionals standing here tonight.
And you know, a contract needs to be a contract that keeps pace with the cost of living so our educators can continue to live here and raise their families here. Because no teacher should have to choose between serving the city and supporting their own family. And I do want to make something clear. We're not here as adversaries, we're here as partners with you. We want to work with you to create a contract that reflects the respect that our educators deserve, but the priorities that we all share in this room. Safe schools, strong retention, great outcomes for our students.
And as with anything teachers do, we're not here tonight advocating just for ourselves, right? We demand a fair contract because we know that our teaching conditions are really our students' learning conditions. A teacher in a classroom with over 30 students is just not going to be able to provide the same quality of instruction as they would with smaller class sizes. When a teacher has the time they need outside of their job to take care of their mental health, they're more likely to have a positive impact on their students' mental health. And when Danbury educators' wages and benefits remain competitive with surrounding and similar districts, we experience less turnover and a deeper sense of community in our schools. A fair contract will not just benefit the educators who it belongs to, it will benefit Danbury as a whole. And we continue to work to build a destination district that educators, families, and community members can say that they are going to be proud to be a part of.
So we believe that this open dialogue that we're trying to forge, mutual respect, and a shared commitment to excellence, we can reach an agreement that honors the work of our educators while keeping our students at center focus. We have a shared goal of making Danbury that destination district to work for once again.
Our educators are ready to continue doing what they do best, inspiring, guiding, and supporting the children of Danbury. And we look forward to building a contract that reflects that same level of dedication from the district.
Because you know, this is not only about fairness for educators, it's about ensuring that Danbury remains a district where our students thrive because their teachers and staff feel supported, respected, and secure. So, as we head towards the finish line with negotiations, I want to remind you that a fair contract isn't a luxury ask. It is the foundation in our schools.
We come to the table ready to partner, ready to collaborate, and ready to make progress. It's about making sure the child who walks into a Danbury classroom tomorrow morning is greeted by an experienced, valued, supported, and respected teacher who is able to give their very best because the district is behind them.
So let us close by saying this. The people standing behind us, all of these folks, and all of those at home right now working on tomorrow's lessons. They've already done their part over and over again. They've gone above and beyond for our community. All Danbury educators have done their part through every challenge. We've shown up every day for our city's children. And now we're here, united, a strong force to say that we deserve a fair contract. Not today, not tomorrow, now. We really thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
I just want to make one comment. Someone did ask me who the gentleman next to Aaron was, and that is Julian Schaefer, and he is the vice president of the union. So I just wanted to introduce Julian, who's been a welcome partner. I do want to say thank you to everybody who showed up tonight. Please know on behalf of the cabinet team and the board that we do appreciate your loyalty. We do appreciate the work that you do every day. We understand where we are, and our goal is always to make it better for everybody. Julian, I wrote down the quote, "Our teaching conditions are our learning conditions." And that's what I'm walking away with, and I too believe that as well. So please know that, and thank you all for coming out tonight. We appreciate you. Thank you.
And we'll give you some more airspace in the room.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Sorry, getting
Good night
more.
to you, and thank
Good
you
night.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I realized this isn't fair enough.
You know, one of our neighbors, he's from Portugal. I went to Portugal, the way he talks about it, you know.
Any of you were around when I used to be here every
Yeah, there's like Kim was circulating. She's like as soon as they leave, I'm calling it.
As they move out, do we have any students that are here tonight? Good, thank you. Come and identify yourself.
Hi, my name is Alexandra.
Just, you know what, just wait 1 second.
Teachers can be about students.
Hi, my name is Alexandra, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Alternative Center of Excellence. Good evening, Board of Ed members, cabinet, and community members. Thank you for allowing me to represent and speak on behalf of the Alternative Center of Excellence. On Thursday, September 25th, ACE will hold its annual beginning of the year Community Building Day at Hatters Park. The day will start in a whole school circle led by John and Anthony. Next, guidance group will engage in team building activities and challenges like the human knot, the hula hoop pass, the ski walk, the tower of power, and the guidance pyramid picture. Lunch will be hamburgers and hot dogs from the grill, and after lunch, students will have time to interact with each other, make dream catchers, paint our ace scarecrow for the city center, Danbury, or play in a kickball game. It will be a great day to build our community and forge new friendships. ACE will hold its Humanities Department grade level benchmark on Tuesday, September 16th. The ACE Humanities Department has created a benchmark Schoology classroom that the entire student body participants is based on your highest grade level in English and Social Studies. Thank you, ACE Humanities Department, for all your diligent work on this school-wide learning activity. The benchmark process takes place during a 4-hour block, and students will have an opportunity to demonstrate their skill level with regards to the task. After the benchmarks are completed, ACE will hold a large guidance assembly to present upcoming events, opportunities, and measures regarding school expectations and goals for the ACE community. The first ACE Parent Night will be held on Thursday, September 25th at 6 p.m. Parents and students will begin the evening together to hear about upcoming events and school goals for the 2025-2026 school year. After that, the parents and students will have the opportunity to follow their students' schedule and meet with ACE staff. Katya will be taking her and environmental students to the White Memorial Conservation Center on Thursday, October 18th. Students will visit the museum as well as complete a pond crawl on the grounds collecting samples. ACE will be administering our school-wide PSAT for 9th, 10th, and 11th graders on Tuesday, October 7th. Our pre-administration day will prep students for the test as well as providing valuable practice on sample test questions. Thank you all for allowing us to share what is going on with our ACE family and have a nice evening. Stay healthy and remain ACE strong. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to the superintendent's report.
Alexandra just left, but you could tell her, Ken, that she did a great job. That was her first night.
I'll tell her tomorrow.
Thank you. Her ace is here in the house. She did a great job. Okay, let's see here. So we've got a couple items tonight, just more updates about the opening of school. So we had a very smooth opening relative to everything that was going on. School lunch transition, re-tiering of the buses, opening up an entire new campus, and then, of course, trying to staff the same way that everyone else across the state was trying to staff their buildings and fill openings. And, like many districts, we always have a little bit of I don't want to say a bailout just before school starts, but folks who applied to multiple places tend to make decisions at the last minute, and then we're kind of stuck at in the last 11th hour trying to fill slots. But I have to say, I want to commend not only the cabinet team, but the building teams as well for working diligently around the clock to continue to fill positions, and we're still filling some positions. When Kim comes, I'll have her do a staffing update. She's got a little bit of information about some places where we still have some persistent vacancies, but overall we're in much better shape starting the school year this time than we were last year. So I definitely, yes. And she walks in. So we'll give you a chance to breathe, and then you can go last. We'll have you go at the end. So very smooth opening. I have to say, in the last couple of years, I don't remember, I think, a smoother opening where, all the calls coming in where we weren't on fire in central office with issues and problems. So and we kind of checked individually with buildings, and they reported, don't say it, very smooth opening. So things went really well, and that's a testament to a lot of people putting a lot of time and attention into the details of opening, welcoming schools, having schedules really ready to go and well vetted, so there's not a lot of chaos at the beginning of the day, in the first couple of days. The transportation, I'll kind of flow into the transportation a little bit. As you know, we combined the 612 run with DHS and DHS Westside Academy and DHS West. The first couple days were a little bit bumpy because students were kind of dismissed out of DHS West, and we're like, which bus? How are we doing this? So that was all just new, normal, natural kind of progression to establishing routine. And over the course of that week, they made a lot of adjustments with the way that they onboarded, where the buses parked, how many buses came around, and gradually the pull-out time, the target time, got closer and closer and closer. So I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. We're still always work out the bumps across the first couple of weeks. Whenever the high school run is late, then the middle school run is late, then the elementary school run's late, and it's a tiered effect. So the first couple of days we've had some kind of wild times, but we're starting to get more into a routine, and I expect that to be more refined over the next couple of weeks. We also get surges of registration, late registrants after Labor Day, which also changes the bus route. So just when you think you have your route planned, you get 5 or 6 more students on a bus, and everything changes a little bit. So those are just the normal ebbs and flows. And I think we expected them to be a little worse this year, but they were pretty typical. And so given all the volume that we had going on, I think it was a pretty good opening overall. We mentioned school lunch, about the school lunches. It was probably one of the first school lunches I wanted to eat myself in a long time when I saw how fresh the foods were. So it's not, something's not, not coming out of the can, if you will. It's being chopped up in the back, and it's fresh, and it's made that morning, and it just looked very appetizing, very fresh. And I sat with some of the students and asked them what they thought of the food, and they were raving about it. They're like, this is amazing. So it was a really big shift for them, and the food definitely, the food quality is 10 levels up from where it was. And we're working through some of the logistical, the ordering system, the process, new staff that we've onboarded, staff that has gone to different places, so we're trying to fill those holes. And there's a slightly different organizational structure with this company compared to the other one, so everyone's getting used to the management and the procedural pieces that go in with the transition. But overall, we are getting there, and people who have tasted the food are very, very pleased with it. Most importantly, the kids. So, and if it doesn't look good, the kids won't eat it. So the kids have been eating it. So that's a great report. From a leadership update, I have emailed folks kind of offline. I've been sort of sending out updates as we go, but I just want to announce kind of publicly who all of our new administrators are in the district. So at Broadview Middle School, he's been in place for a little bit. Andrew Lambo, who replaced Dave Kimball. At Westside Middle School, Mike Flynn, who was our interim, replaced Jen Blue. At Westside Middle School, the assistant principal is Jessica Hill, who replaced Mike Flynn, who took the principal role. At Rogers Park, Michael Boucher, who used to work with us and for us at Danbury High School, went to New Milford. We stole him out of New Milford, and now he's our principal. He replaced formerly Christy Zalita, who is now our chief of schools, K-12. Reach and Endeavor principal is Bill Kirsten, who replaced Jenny Lopez. Jenny Lopez took the administrative position, assistant principal position back at Stadley Ruff, where she came from, so she's happy. Stadley Ruff is happy. Park Avenue Elementary assistant principal Stephanie Ruffini, who replaced Mary Johnson, and she's going to be a great partner for Dave. AIS Elementary principal is Jeannie Pukowski, who is replacing Will Jackson. She starts on Friday, on the 12th. Danbury High School assistant principal is Melissa Teal, who replaced Andrew Lambo. Stadley Ruff assistant principal, already said that one, was Jenny Lopez. And our new associate superintendent for teaching and learning is Allison Breedy Johnson, who will start on the 24th, and she's coming to us from Norwalk, so another big urban district, and she has a lot of great experience that we can't wait to tap. So it was a very busy summer. For all those of you who participated in the panels, it was a long one. I think we spent a preponderance of our time between opening the new building and filling all of these roles with the multiple panels that are needed. And so we appreciate everybody's time, attention, and work. HR department was nonstop with the hiring process this year, as we knew that was going to be. But the fact that we're here and first week of school, we're able to open with this many positions filled is important for stability and important for just sort of the critical nature of being able to open the school without having any issues and people are settled in their place at time. So we're excited about all of that. We'll talk a little bit about transportation. I'm going to kick it over to Mike for summer projects. Give us a little update on some of the things that were completed over the summer months.
Sure. Thank you, Kara. Welcome back, everybody. I'll be brief. There were certainly this summer, DHS West stole all the headlines, but there were a number of different things happening that we're going to spend a lot of time in Tuesday's sites meeting going through. We have pictures and updates, but everything from lights to flooring to roof replacements. We'll get a little bit more into the weeds of all the different projects we did and some of the things that we're looking forward to in the coming year. So we hope you can join us on Tuesday, and we'll take a deep dive into the long list of projects that we accomplished over the summer.
Thank you. Now, Kim, that you've had a moment to breathe and to park, if you want to give us just a little update on where we are with staffing. And
Sure.
I had mentioned earlier, still a couple holes that we're filling.
Right, so just to recap where we've been, remember the start of the summer, we did about 400 summer school employees, don't forget those. So we ran all of the summer school. We did the town administrators that Kara has talked about. So far to date, we have touched in one form or another 190 certified people. That means worked up their folders, called them, we've had some who've declined, but we've touched 189 certified staff members so far, and about another 125 non-certified staff that we have touched, meaning called, contacted, worked up. We still have a series of polls in the areas we know about. Math and science continue to be challenging. My team's been working with the high school to run overloads and to work on trying to market and look for these teachers in these high need areas as best we can. We are not alone in searching for a limited pool of these folks that are certified in these areas. Special ed is another. But to date, we've managed, I think, to get either temporary staffing in the case of our non-certified staff members, and also we've brought back a few retired teachers, some substitutes, to plug some gaps as we continue to look in earnest in these high need areas. So that's going to be continuing a challenge for us. With regard to the paraeducators, we spent a lot of time this summer focused on hiring that group still. Hopefully you all saw in your travels on social media, if you were there, some pop-up ads. We did some work with Hearst Media, we did some work with social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I had a team that thought about a TikTok video, though we didn't quite get that, and I don't even know what that means, so I was leaving that to them. But we've been trying as many different places as we can to try to search for paraeducators at this new $21 rate. It's better, but we are not getting the traction I would have thought. I just saw a report that just came out this week from, I believe it was from the State Department of Education, showing across the state the trend, again, for the last couple of years, and highlighted this year, a real shortage of paraeducators. We're all fighting for a limited pool of them. I know anecdotally that the other urbans are also looking for high numbers of them. We opened, I think, much better than we have in years past by leveraging stepping stones, by leveraging Kelly Education, who now has a different group of paras that are a little bit more trained. So we managed to open, I think, more smoothly than we have in years past, but we're continuing that push of trying to really get the non-certified staff, and that's really a challenge for us. It's trickled into safety advocates, again, working to continue to put that to full capacity. And school lunch has also been a bit of a challenge, although I think today we may have turned a corner with that group, so they should be fairly fully staffed. I've been working closely with the substitute teacher pool with Cali Ed. They now have 240 substitute teachers in the pool. That's a very robust number for us. All of our building subs are in place, also very robust for us this year. With the exception of the high school, where we've started with a smaller group rather than the full complement, and we'll continue to add to that group as well. So I think that's also very good news for how we opened this school year. So we've been super busy. I'm actually looking to replace one of my newer HR generalists, so I'm working on that now to make sure that our team is back up at a full complement. So we'll continue to push forward, but it's been a busy summer. And interspersed with that, we've also been working on 5 contracts. So those of you who participate in all these committees have been busy as well, and thank you.
It's been busy. Thanks, Kim. I failed to mention about the cell phone policy, that and how that is going. So I did have Dr. Zalita kind of poll the middle schools to see how that's going, and I did contact Dan Donovan to kind of get a sense of how it's working, particularly between the 2 campuses and the lock boxes. And I know ACE is also implementing the lock boxes as well. But so far, everything has gone very smoothly. Everyone is very pleased with the level of cooperation with the students. There's only been a couple of instances where the cell phones have been a bit of an issue, 1 or 2 in terms of like refusals, but most kids have absolutely been wonderful in terms of complying with the policy. We've had a couple parent phone calls and emails about wanting to get a hold of, a little bit disgruntled with the idea of not being able to get a hold of their child during study hall or whenever they needed to contact them, and we've had some exchanges on that and come around that. It's understandable in this day and age that there's a natural worry about that, but by and large, the feedback from the teachers has been fantastic. They feel like they've been able to teach again in many cases where the issue was a little more problematic, particularly at the high school level. And I'm sure, Rob, you can attest to that. He's shaking his head over there. How's it going, actually, Rob?
Actually, it's going very well.
Great. Great, okay, thank you, I'm just curious. From a teacher perspective, yes?
What is like the policy if there's a real emergency?
Mhm.
Like, so say it's not a fake fire or it's not a alarm, it's like a real thing. How does that like?
So the students they're allowed to have their cell phones, they can transport them to and from school. One of the issues with students, like, so there's an emergency, let's say we're in a lockdown. One of the problematic components that we've had with the cell phones and situations like lockdowns is, I'll give you a classic example. We had a situation where we called a lockdown in an area where there was a police chase and someone had jumped out of the car and had committed a robbery or something, was running through the neighborhood. Students were texting, had gotten wind of some information and were texting their parents. Now, when you're in a lockdown, the last thing you want is parents flooding the school
Correct.
with misinformation, coming to pull in the parking lot, go to the door. My son or daughter's texting me that there's a shooter, or there's, you know, so they're using terms and getting misinformation spread very, very quickly, which actually is dangerous and causes more problems. So this actually helps that in that case. And intuitively, the first thing you want is your child to have their cell phone if there's that kind of emergency, but it actually has the opposite effect in actual emergencies. But the students will still have their phones. They were able to transport them to and from school, will be in their lockers or a cubby. And so, you know, this is we are implementing this year, but we're going to get a lot of feedback on different processes and scenarios as it's tested over the course of the year, and we'll make refinements and recommendations to the board and to the schools to refine that work over time. And some of the implementation is for the most part the same, similar, with some iterations that are a little bit different. So for example, Westside Middle School, they don't have lockers, so they're doing a little something different. They're allowed to keep it in the bag and not take it out. Some of the school, like Broadview has to stay in the locker or the bag. So there's slightly different iterations at the high school level. There's a locked case in every single classroom. So it's okay to have a tiny bit of difference right now as we get feedback on how each of those different scenarios and those nuances are playing out. And that's a little part of the innovation piece, that where you see how things are going, and then if we need to completely standardize it, we'll determine that towards the end of the year.
Teresa?
Are we gonna do a survey again this year? A survey?
Regarding
Like last year of?
a board survey?
Right.
We absolutely can, yeah. I think we should do
I
it.
thought it was something that we were going to do every year. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look when what month we implemented that, if anybody has that.
Board survey.
The board.
Staff on the board. When was that?
Oh my God, I think it was around close to November timeframe.
Was it? Okay.
Before Christmas.
Yeah, we could absolutely take a look, and it's also a good way to get feedback on new policies that have been
Yeah, I
implemented.
thought it was something we were going to do.
I could,
A good tool.
I don't remember the month.
We'll ask Carol to pull it up. So
Yep.
we can-
Sure can.
Any other questions? Louisa?
So I was able to chat with some students up at both the main campus and west. And the west side students at the west side campus are elated at the new school, and main campus students also happy, like there's more space for them, they're noticing a difference. So, you know, it's great on both ends. It's just something that was so long overdue, and now we're seeing, you know, the benefits of it, and the kids are really, really excited about both.
Yeah.
So it's good.
It
Good
seems
stuff.
that, it feels
Good to
good.
hear.
It
Yeah.
feels good. We're definitely feeling that, and we're working really hard to make sure that the west side, the main campus, it's funny because a lot of students are like, I don't want to go to that other campus and leave DHS Main. And some of the kids that went over to go see it were like, whoa. But the questions then came, what are you doing with the main campus? Are you gonna, you know, we want to make sure that that environment is equally as appealing and inviting and attractive, and have the tools and resources that the new campus has. So we'll be working on that over time, and we did order some new equipment for some of the, with Title IV, for some of the, like the art and architectural lab, got some new desks, and we'll be sprucing up some of the engineering components so that there's definitely equal opportunity on both campuses. But that's going to be a work in progress over time.
Juanita? Just a couple of things. So, Lauren was asking about, in the event of an emergency, do robocalls go out or,
Yes,
and so parents are notified where they can
yes.
meet
So,
their child?
thank you, and I got it. If I missed that, I'm sorry.
No, you're good, you're fine.
Okay, so yes, we send, whenever there's an emergency, one of the very first things we do is almost simultaneously, I send something out through Mike will send out a parent square in real time about whether it's a lockdown, this is what we know right now, kind of stay tuned.
Gas leak.
Gas leak, so right, we got that information in sort of real time. And very quickly, during that time period, lots of things happen. And so we're making sure that the scene is secure and that we're getting good information. We're waiting for the fire department to clear us. And then we let parents know that there's been an all clear. So we do parent square. We do that pretty religiously. We're pretty good at that. Parents usually get the text message and the email, and depending how they sign up for their parent square messages is based on their preferences. They do get lots of information to them, and we do updates. Occasionally, if it was a complex or a very messy event, particularly in a lockdown, something that was really serious, we usually follow up at the end of the day once we've had a time to debrief and get all the facts together, kind of an explanation sometimes, so sometimes they'll get a letter as well. In the event that we have to vacate a building and they can't go back in, communications have also been sent out. We've scrambled buses. Buses can take about sometimes anywhere between 30 minutes and 45 minutes to scramble buses, and have announced where those pickup places are. So the best parent tool that we have with the most accurate information that's clear and devoid of rumor or speculation is the parent square message that goes out pretty regularly. And in any sort of event, I can, depending how long the situation is, a shelter in place or a lockdown, parents can receive anywhere between 2, 3, or 6 messages depending on what's happening. So we do have a very good, strong communication stream. The students being able to go and make a phone call in the office should they have an emergency, or I'm not feeling all of those protocols are still in place. They can go to any level. Parent can call in. We can go and seek students out. We call into the room. We bring students down, and our principals have already made some concessions where, hey, my mom is calling about this very specific thing around 1 o'clock, and is it okay to step out or step into the office to take this call? And of course, there's been accommodations made with that already. We've already had those discussions. So I think our students are in really good hands. Our staff is very well trained, but the clarity and the communication streams with the cell phones kind of being out of the mix are vastly improved. The other problem that we've had before, also with communication, I'll just mention, it goes to what you asked earlier, is the phone lines. Kids texting some misinformation about what's happening, and all of the school phone lines getting clogged up with phone calls, and you can't even dial out because of the number of students, parents calling in, and or trying to get to the school. So, the cell phones really have been less helpful in emergencies than helpful. But we do have a good parent square communication system.
Have we noticed, well, I know it's too soon, but any behavioral changes now that cell phones are out of play?
Yes, the kids are very engaged, and engaged with the teachers. And what will be interesting to see over time, and we'll have to find a way to track this, the incidences of students, like a fight, a squabble, or a problem between 2 students almost always had started with, well, she texted this in the group chat, or he texted that in the group chat, or so-and-so posted something on social media. Now, we can't stop that. Teachers are shaking it. We can't stop that outside of the school day, but I can tell you that things can whip up pretty quickly in the school day, just even during class, and it happens on a regular basis. So that part, we could track those incidences, over the course of the year and get a general sense of that. But we definitely, there's a lot of reports already that things have just kind of calmed down a little bit. So it's early, as we get in a couple months.
As well as most of those incidents being taped and they're online.
Yes, a fight or skirmish or a
Yeah.
an argument, you know.
Investigate.
Yes, absolutely.
As far as the parent square,
Mhm.
do each of our buildings keep some type of data on which parents have signed up for it, which ones still need to sign up for, and then do we contact them?
Yeah, yeah. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about the parent square process?
Sure, so we do have data on the back end that shows how many people have signed up. It'll get, granular, it'll tell us how many people we've actually reached, so we can see who may be getting an email that hasn't signed up for the app yet. So we do send reminders, and principals are active in telling people they need to sign up.
But it's a good point to, especially with, we have a lot of new administrators that have started, so a good reminder to make sure that that we don't have any holes or gaps in our parent communication.
Julie, were you finished with one?
We do it too. Classroom teachers do it too, especially at the elementary level. Sorry, I'm making
That's
this not my place, but it's important to hear, right? So I'm constantly using my analytics to track down parents who are not using it.
Did you finish one? I'll come back.
Okay,
It's a
Julie?
different.
No, I just want to round up on. My only concern was based on safety, and it's based on the latest news that we have seen the trend of the last starting of the school year is everywhere in Utah and the other one around. So are we taking extra precaution? Because the way I see it is this every time that we see this start of a trend. So are we taking extra precautions on like I don't know, with the employees and
Yeah, our first line of defense is making sure everyone keeps their doors closed. There's no prop doors, and all, those are reviewed at the beginning of the year as part of safety procedures. But also having all of our safety advocates in place. We're working to fill those. So we've had a little bit of turnover right at the beginning of school year. Mike is working feverishly to try to replace them, and we may even have to use some agency staff to keep up with that. But yes, so we do. That's one of the reasons why we maintain the safety advocates also in our school system, because it is very important. But we do have some pretty good protocols in place. We have verification at the door with ID and the Raptor system. So anybody, not anybody can just walk in or say that they belong there or say to pick up. There's kind of a vetting system at the door. So we do have that. But it is concerning. We do live in a day and age where there's just increased unwell people that are cause for concern. But Mike, did you want to add? Or Kelly? Sorry, you're both kind of leaning in.
I was going to say also it's regular review of our protocols. For example, we had a meeting this morning with all of our administrators in district where we extensively reviewed all the protocols in case of an emergency, our incident command, what our chain of command, how they'll expect communications, and we do that very regularly. They're also required to have drills in place each month, and that's to prepare in the event of an emergency, so students and staff are aware of the protocols to follow, and then they also test out those procedures so that if there's a need to make an adjustment or correction, they're able to do so in a practice situation. But that is at the forefront of what we are doing, and I would say it's something we review no less than monthly at the cabinet table, and then certainly as needed in individual situations, we will follow up.
Thanks, Kelly. We just did that today, so I appreciate you.
And I do want to thank the administration and our board for addressing that safety issue at one of our elementary schools. So that, as a result, fencing did go up, and that's a good thing. Can I just kind of go down my list?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, good. So for the hiring, the question that I had is, can you tell us kind of step by step for the interview streaming, how does that work? I apply through them?
The new program that we rolled out. So let me take a step back by saying that all of our hiring into buildings is decentralized. So we task all of our building administrators with hiring the staff that go into their buildings. So when we purchased Interview Stream, it was to give them an additional tool as part of the process. So we just purchased it over the summer, we rolled it out, we did some training for anyone that would like to use it as a screening tool. So those building administrators are doing what probably is most akin to like a paper screen. They go through AppleTrack, they look and see who's applied for their positions. In some cases, people have applied for multiple positions, and they have the option of using this interview stream if they choose. We also used it a little bit in the administrative segment, like the secretarial pools that we were running, as a way to kind of give candidates an opportunity to provide more information if they'd like to. So we post some questions, and basically the way it works is you can upload a video of yourself answering the question. And it was really just to use as a streaming tool. We're going to unfold it a little bit more this year because we also can use it as a way to survey. So we'd like to use it for some of our new teachers that came in to give a kind of, hey, you know, answer this question in a minute or so video and tell us, do you feel like you got some good training when you came in? Is there something we could do that might help you? You know, just to use it as another way to outreach. It also allows us to do some marketing embedded in it, so we could link the questions in interview stream to maybe it's a principal. It says, hey, my name is, you know, Jane Doe, and I'm the principal of whichever elementary school. Let me tell you a little bit about my school, and now I'd love to invite you to answer these questions. So it really was intended to be a tool. We did not, because of when we bought it, I think it was in July, we didn't require anyone to use it. We sort of offered it as another alternative. So I think that we will try to embed it more. Part of what was concerning us about some buildings were that there were only brief virtual interviews of some candidates, no demo lessons, no in-person, no tour of the school, and that just didn't feel like enough of a contact. So this was really the first contact, and then that other process of bringing people in and having them do, like I said, demo lessons, interviews with teacher panels was really to flesh out the process.
Okay, so yeah, I bring that up because hearing back some comments using different hiring, interviewing at different levels, different ways, not standard, and as you said, virtual in some places and in person in others. And that concerns me. And so whereas one person may feel, gee, I think I would have done much better had I been in person, but I was only offered a virtual. So I'm not sure how it was done in the past. And I think I hear you saying that it really was left up to the administration in each building how they wanted to run their interviews or use the program that was purchased.
Kind of, you know, in addition, if someone were to record the interview, I know that building administrators shared those videos. You know, you can anybody can look at those, so that it was another way for an administrator to say, hey, I filled my spot, here's somebody you might want to take a look at. But I just want to be clear with you, Juanita, that before we purchased Interview Stream, everyone is subject to a paper screen, essentially. So it's just administrators leafing through AppleTrack, going through, looking at all the credentials. They're still doing that. It's just that and we did use videos some time ago to great success, maybe 2 or 3 years ago here, you might remember when we screened, we had a lot of administrator candidates, a lot of internals. And it was a way to help administrators to whittle down the group. But the selection process remains the same. So they bring folks in, as I said, except I had heard it in 1 or 2 places that wasn't happening. And again, it doesn't run through us, so we don't necessarily centralize everybody's process. But everybody's going through the same process in that they have to do some kind of an initial screen, and then they go through the process of selecting the candidate in their building. Demo lesson, interviews, bringing in the candidates. So there is always that continuity. I agree with you that we should make sure that we have a fair and equitable process that gives everyone a chance. And I will tell you that I did have a couple of people contact me and say, hey, I have difficulty doing this. And I said, oh, no problem, we'll send an email off to the principal. We'll let them know. It was really not intended to be exclusionary. It was intended to provide another dimension for candidates who were going through this paper screening anyway.
Yeah, I just don't think that, for some, it may not give a clear indication of who they are, what they can bring to the table, and what they can present. And so there's always, to me, there's a difference, and I don't know if they're even, when you're sorting people out, maybe virtually versus in person. I'm not sure that you can really, to me, get to the meat in virtual. Whereas I've been in interviews where people have had their full portfolio, they've passed it out, and I don't know if that's the second step in the process that they've been asked to come back or come in or things like that. But yeah, I think there's a disadvantage for some people.
And just remember that there are some positions have literally 100, 125 candidates. There's a large pool. So there, and certainly, we can have a larger conversation about how the screening happens. That's really what we're talking about, is the initial screening. How do you get down to a manageable group that you can bring in for a more detailed interview? And we have to do it somehow, so,
You have other questions, Juanita?
Yeah, but it's on a different subject. This is still.
Well, I wanted to say that Juanita brought up a good point. Standardization across the board. It sounds like it's kind of willy-nilly. Yet when I've been on the few administrative interviews, we all had a standard set of questions. Are we getting away from that with teachers?
No.
Or is there a standard? I think Juanita brought up a good point, across the board. Okay, this step, next, this step, and this is the questions. I mean, to be consistent.
Yes. And no, we're not moving away from that. Again, we're trying to tackle the problem of if you have 100 applicants, how are you going to get down to 5? That's what we're trying to tackle, that problem.
Just a quick comment on that. The way, and we've been involved in a lot of the administrative panels, and I don't sit on teacher panels anymore, but from the administrative panel side, again, we do get a lot of applications for those, and we can only ever really bring in, or the way that bringing in 4 or 5, if you've sat on the panels before, 5 is really a long day, and it's pushing it, and it's almost unfair to that last candidate, the 5th one, because you're exhausted and you're just not as maybe in tune, if you will. But what the interview screen has done on the administrative side and is that if I'm looking at doing a paper screen and I'm looking at who we want to bring in, it allows me to go, these are, I think, the 5 best, but these couple of people here, 4 or 5 other ones, are pretty interesting. I'm not sure I'd bring them in if it was just a paper screen. These folks would have never gotten in. So what it does is it allows for cast a wider net on the process so we can see more, so that we choose, of the 10 people that we send this information to answer questions, we have a better sense of fit and a likelihood for better success in the actual pool that we bring in for the administrative panel anyways. So that has been helpful. In cases where only 2 or 3 people have applied, it's not necessarily needed, if you will, because you're going to bring in all 3 people.
And I think to your point, Teresa, we always need to, when we bring those 5 in, we always need to give everyone the levelest playing field we can. That's why we say the same questions, make sure that everyone gets asked the same questions, because you don't ever want to create an appearance of different treatment for different candidates. So always by that last level. This is really a discussion about how do you get to that level.
And so I want to go back again to the hiring and our staff that filled the room earlier today. One of the things that we've sat around this table and we've talked about is Danbury being the best urban district. And I hope that that is the message that we're giving across the board to our teachers, our administrators, our staff, and certainly we've talked about retaining, getting, and we've used the words competitive salaries. And if we are talking about being the best urban district, then I think what we heard here tonight, and we heard also through our survey, that our staff is looking for, they said 3 things: respect, safe working conditions, and looking to retain who we have, who we hire through competitive salaries. And I know what was brought back to the board, that certainly has been a consideration in the prior negotiations that have gone on. So I just wanted to express what I heard here tonight on that. I have heard back from some staff members, especially on the middle school level, with regard to the cell phones, working very well, in their building because of the block schedule. So the students report to their last block class first, store the cell phones, then go through their day. And the last class is that class that they stored the phone in. And so that's when they retrieve their phones back. And to them, it has worked well. Again, when we did our surveys here, and not that anything has happened so far, but the concern is if students are not following the protocol with cell phones, and the teachers now report that, they want to hear back from the administration what were the steps taken to address that. They don't want it to get too far and too out of hand with the next steps. So they weren't really sure about what are the next steps going to be, even if it just getting back to them to say, so-and-so had a warning, cell phone was held in the office, parent was contacted, and they will pick it up after school. Parents were notified that if it does happen again, that sort of thing. But they want that kind of communication up front and happening sooner rather than later. The only other thing that I have on my little list, or 2 things, I'm sorry, I really want to stress this year our board moving forward with the dress code policy. I am personally sometimes offended and certainly appalled at what I am seeing our students coming to school in. Now, we certainly could say to the parents, did you see your child leave the house? I don't know that we can even do that anymore. But I want to make sure that we have good, solid policy from our board going forward that our staff can certainly use to support them in honoring a dress code. And if I'm not exaggerating, certainly go visit our schools and you let me know what you think. So I am going to certainly be asking the board to look at our policy on the dress code. And so the last thing that I want to put before you is looking at our reach and endeavor. We named those programs for a reason. It's not just a name, it had a mission and a vision behind it. And so again, I am looking at, are we looking at the resources that we're placing there? We talked about restorative practices. I'm not sure that we have the staff there, I'm not saying trained-wise, but enough to work at that level that our students are there, the reason they are there. And also looking at the building that we've housed that program in. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Kelly, you want to talk a little bit about some of the updates there? Yep.
As you know, Bill Kirsten has been named the new administrator of the program, starting out at the start of the school year, really to support the restorative practices as we're looking at their systems and structures that are in place to support PBIS work in the building, including they follow a school-wide point system for students to get ongoing feedback on school-wide expectations and behaviors, but also to help students to self-monitor and self-regulate and provide ongoing feedback in a consistent fashion across classrooms. So that was their PD prior to the start of the school year. That will continue to build over and across the school year, including a team of his staff members participating in additional PBIS training by one of our, CERCA trainers. So that is some of the work that they're doing. We are also in the process of adding one additional staff member to the program. And so we have been, we onboarded a new person, but this will be an additional new position. So we need to backfill one position and we're adding another staff member. And Juanita, I share the concern, I think as we continue to grow and develop that program, looking at staffing and resourcing needs to be an ongoing focus. As far as providing in the general budget, we did increase the support in a financial way to that building as far as access for additional materials, supplies, equipment, resources, professional learning for staff there, and we'll continue to monitor that. Some of that is also supported by our special education budget as well as some of our LEAP budget because they service students in a multitude of capacities. And we have provided some support also through McKinney-Vento for that building. So there's the general building budget and then there's some additional lines of support. As far as curricular access, they have access to all the same resources that the rest of the district does. But we need to recognize that the learners in that building have different needs at times. We're also looking over time to increase the amount of community involvement that the students have. So one of our first steps is increasing actually the amount of time that they go off-site. We have a partnership with the Powell Center to do some, both their PE requirement, but also some team building exercises in a space outside the environment. Additionally, it is no secret that it's an ongoing effort, I think, of all of ours to continue to explore a different space for that building. I wish I said we found a place. We are not there yet, but it's something that we're continuing to do. And with the community outings, we'll be looking to expand and giving students some experiences across the Danbury community in some real life settings, some job shadowing. For those of you that don't know Mr. Kirsten, prior to this, he has been a special education teacher in our district for many years, but he also ran our, I'm going to call it the original academy program. The academy program, what I mean by that is our vocational education program for students 18 to 22 years old. And he was working with his staff and students across the community, supporting job training and coaching and development skills. So really kind of building that into the programming at the Reach Endeavor program, really focusing first on Reach as they're our older population, but we are still in the process of transitioning students in, setting expectations and so forth before we expand into a larger community, but those are goals that we have collectively over time. So I can continue to provide updates, but I hope that gives you a little less.
We've been looking at administrative support in that building because I don't think there's enough there for Mr. Kirsten right now. They have kind of a shared arrangement with ACE. So we're looking at seeing if we can push in any more administrative support and safety advocate support as well.
So they have a full-time safety advocate now, so that we accomplished. We also increased, I should have added this, our nursing support. It is a shared staff member between Reach and ACE, or Reach Endeavor and ACE. That person previously was working 0.6 or 3 full days a week, and we have increased that to full-time, which has also provided an additional support and help to that facility. So there are a bunch of smaller little things over time that we're adding in to really build and grow the program. I do think expanding the space will also give us the ability to further expand that program.
Thank you.
And they are fully enrolled.
I just want to say, I ran into Bill at the Powell building this week, and I know him very well, and the Powell building staff was just thrilled that he was there, and the difference in the children they've noticed already is just phenomenal. because he's so good at what he needs to do there. So I think it's just phenomenal that they're already noticing, and that, you know, the children are like coming in and saying like please and thank you and making eye contact, and you know, it's just the director of the Powell building, he's like, it's a change already, which it's hard to, but he's got support and he can do it.
One thing about Bill is that he has very high expectations for students.
Yes, he does.
He has a firm approach when needed, but super soft in coaching and supporting and teaching. And that is what we have seen. That was one of the reasons, one of the many reasons he was selected for that program. But I will say, being in the building, you feel a change in that. And I really think the staff is looking for someone to bring some stability to the program. You know, they've had a number of administrative changes over the past couple of years, and I think he's been able to set a tone of we're here in this together, we're going to do this together, and reframe some of the expectations for our kiddos. So it's been a very positive thing so far.
Thanks.
Okay, all right, and just to wrap, superintendent's report, we're actually still on it. So Spotlight Your School will start October 8th and will be every meeting through April, but in a much more reduced, condensed 5-minute format, so that they have a consistent template of, so that we really just get the highlights of what's happening in the school. It's really important that we have a presence all the time about what's happening in our schools in the meetings, so that's the core work, that's what we do. So I think it'll be a nice touch, but you know, we've definitely curtailed sort of the longer, lengthier presentation. So we have a nice succinct way to present that. And then we've come to two nice donations. One, I'm happy to be friendly with the superintendent in Reading, and he had some really nice classroom desks and chairs that they were getting replaced on his end that were too gently used to get rid of, so he gave me a call.
I live in Region.
Oh, well, he was going to get rid of them, so he gave us first dibs on them rather than putting them out into the ether of the area here. And so Morris Street was the beneficiary of that, so we were able to get 52 desks, and Tina was very happy to receive them because some of the desks there were quite in disrepair, so it was a great opportunity. It didn't quite come up to $1,000. I got a little updated information, but we don't really have to pass anything, but I did want to mention that it was a lovely donation from that school system, so we're very thankful from that. We're also in contact with someone who's going to be making a very nice art donation, specifically directed to our elementary school, and I'll give you another update at the next board meeting.
Okay, any questions? Committees, we should not have any committee reports. If you have read your minutes from June, all the information in there should be what we don't want to talk about or want to talk about at our next meetings. And Carol has sent out all the emails for the next couple of meetings. And please, when you get the invitation to the meetings, please click on yes, whether you're going to attend or not, okay? Please. Are there any committees that someone wants to say next? No? Juanita, you want to give a report on the workshop when you attended? We do it next.
Okay. Just passing out some information. I went to the Summer Leadership Conference in Westbrook, Connecticut, August 7th. And I'm just coming back with some suggestions that came out of that conference. And one of the things that really stuck with me was onboarding our new board members. And so actually assigning a board mentor when we have a new board member come on. And just about every district that was there agreed, yeah, you know, because it takes a minute to find out what's going on, who's who, what do you ask, what's the protocol, and so they left us with some great suggestions of what we could do in that onboarding process. And they even talked about it doesn't matter which party. We're not there about parties as far as mentoring on the board, because we are supposed to be have the same vision, the same mission, and therefore we're there for students. And so whatever mentoring we would do would be in that direction. One of the things that they passed out, and it was enlightening for me, maybe not when I pass it down to you guys, but one of the things that they passed out to us was a questionnaire on whose responsibility is it? That was one, the big question. And we had to answer this and then speak on it. You probably wouldn't believe, and I mean, I was only 2 years, I'm only 2 years on the board, but some of even the veteran board members that were there were not able to get all of this correct. So it's just something interesting that I'd like to leave with you. Did I have enough to pass all the way down?
Do you have the answer key?
Did you guys?
Just use AI. Just use AI.
Did you give that?
AI.
Oh, wow. No, this is, it's too different.
In some ways, I don't think you have the answer. Yeah, use AI. But we also had speakers, one being the chair of the State Board of Education, but they talked about the board culture and consensus building, collaboration, and okay, thank you. They talked about belonging. And so if you have board members that are still feeling isolated, that's not a good thing. And so belonging, it says belonging is not about fitting in, but about being accepted, loved, respected for who we are, feeling included, and then they talked about advocacy. And so, as I was saying to Kara, I just felt that we had a good collaboration with our superintendent and above the board members last year, and I just hope that continues.
Thank you. And I hope you all get a chance to read the information that was passed out to us. Mike is here, so I don't know if we want to leave him out. Does you want to say anything?
We don't have our finance committee yet. We will next week, and we'll present the financials the following week at that board meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I will be very brief. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Action item?
Okay, let me do the action item. I'm sorry. Teresa, would you make the motion for the action item?
Sure. Action item A, Morris Street Family Resource Center, continuation of services application. Motion that the Board of Education approve the application to the Connecticut State Department of Education for the continuation of services at Morris Street Family Resource Center in accordance with 25-118.
The motion made by Teresa. Could I hear a second by Kate? Are there any questions concerning this motion? Seeing none? All in favor, could I hear aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so carried. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. I want to talk about us answering emails. And if we go back to the minutes of June the 25th, we talked about emails that comes to board members. And I had stated then that if you receive an email, I know we want to jump on and answer, and I'm glad you know, whatever you want to give them the whole lowdown, okay? And we talked about that. You can also get yourself in trouble by communicating certain information. If the superintendent has received the same email, there's no need for you to forward that email to the superintendent. Okay? Let her take care of it, and if she can't take care of it, her and I and whoever that we need to talk to make sure that we take care of that business. So, you know, she has enough to do than for you to forward all these emails that we're receiving from people. And not that many, but I'm saying, just be careful not to forward the emails if she has already been copied on. Okay? Next, if you're going somewhere or you want to speak on behalf of the board, and if I'm correct, I was elected chairperson. And we decided that we have one spokesperson for the board. I don't expect any board member to say that I'm going to speak for another organization, civic, community organization, if they ask you to speak on behalf of the board. You should be able to say, we have a chairperson. And if she cannot make it, then let her decide or let her ask a board member to take her place. That's the proper way to do things. And that's, I try to do things the right way. And I know I belong to another lot of organizations. I'm not going to speak on behalf of the president when I know I'm the secretary. Okay? So please follow instruction without getting yourself and the board in trouble. Thank you. Okay. The last thing I want to say, when we get ready to go to the CAVE convention, whoever is going, please do not register yourself. Do it through Carol. Let Carol take care of the registration and everything that she needs to do. Okay? And I think she's already sent out information concerning the CAVE convention. And it's November the 21st, 22nd. Okay? Last, I want to thank everyone, especially board members that sent me flowers, that sent me beautiful cards, sent me beautiful messages on the passing of my brother in July. And I just want to say I thank you and I appreciate it very much. Okay? And I love you all, and I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, move by Teresa, all in favor?
Aye.
Al, so moved.
They beat me to it. Is this gonna be a new year?